There are so many ways to learn about farm policy and crop insurance and ethanol policy and all of the big things that we work in corn. There's fewer of those to learn about trade. So this workshop is really one way we're trying to offer that education in partnership with our national sister association, with our state members, to fill that gap and to make sure people can learn as much about this really important topic as others in agriculture.
Trade School fits into the mission of the U.S. Grains Council because we want to create trade ambassadors. It's educating our members. It's so that members of the U.S. Grains Council feel confident talking about how checkoff dollars are being spent around the world, how, again, it's impacting their farms, and so they can talk to their neighbors, talk to fellow members and say, checkoff dollars are being spent this way with the U.S. Grains Council, trade is important, exports are important, and really just talk about the work we're doing.
I've been on the Minnesota Corn Research and Promotion Council for probably 15 years, and Minnesota's involved with U.S. Grains Council. I became a delegate over the years, and then I ran for the board of directors at U.S. Grains, and I currently serve as chair. We've got very talented staff around the world that know what they're doing, and as you can tell by the presentations today, and just to get the message out there, the more people we can educate about trade, the more advocates we'll have.
So far, the energy and participation has been excellent. We've had a lot of great questions. One thing that is really interesting when we have events like this is we have a really wide range of knowledge brought into the room. So we have people who have been members or attendees at U.S. Grains Council meetings for many years, and so already have a lot of background information about trade agreements or some of these details that we're talking about. They understand grains in all forms already. And then we have people who maybe this is the first time they're hearing about a free trade agreement. And so it's really interesting to have that varying amount of base knowledge, but that's also what makes it really interesting and gives the farmers opportunities to interact with each other. And that's what makes it more collaborative among attendees.
Just the conversations I've had today with people that I didn't know from around the state that probably haven't been involved in the corn industry, but yet the ability to talk to them and show them what we're involved in through their checkoff dollars at Minnesota Corn through U.S. Grains. Some of the guys, even on Minnesota's corn side, don't always have a real close connection with U.S. Grains because they probably don't go to the delegate meetings. So this gives them an opportunity to see what we're talking about at a Minnesota board meeting when we are deciding on funding to move on down to U.S. Grains or NCI. I was a big promoter of this a couple years ago before COVID hit. I was talking to North Dakota Corn about having one of these in Minnesota, and I'm so thankful that they decided to be the first one back after COVID. So, no, I think a lot of people learned a lot of stuff today. So.
The Grains Council and NCGA started working with states on trade school workshops in 2016, really when trade became a bigger part of the national conversation. And we found that farmers who attend are watching the news, reading the news, seeing what's going on and what's happening in their own businesses. And they have a lot of questions about broader geopolitical events. And this is a place for them to get those questions answered and to really get more context around what they're seeing. We don't think this is going to slow down anytime soon, and so we're really committed to that educational process and to helping our own members feel really empowered around trade like they may around farm policy or other areas they work in.
My hope is that when attendees leave trade school, the next time they go to the coffee shop and are talking to their neighbors and they're discussing some of these big politic issues that are happening around in the world, they can understand and have an informed conversation with their neighbors about how that's impacting them and their neighbors and how the Grains Council fits into that picture as well.
Farmers are such a small percentage of the overall population, and people need to know what we do and why trade's important to what we do, because what we do is very important to the rural community in general.
One of the wonderful things about trade school is that I often see farmers who are in the room later go out and talk about trade issues at their state associations or checkoff levels or at the national association or even as part of the Grains Council. And it's really nice to know that that foundational knowledge that they got at a trade school workshop has helped them in that way and helps them understand more of what's going on in their own business. It's nice to know that that little piece was really, again, worth their time.
I definitely think just over lunch, we were already hearing people that they've had great takeaways, they've learned a lot, and that's a success. Chalked up as a win.